Escaping the fire wasn't the miracle. The loss started on the way out. Lot wasn't ready to leave. That's the first problem. Because when angels show up telling you to evacuate, it's not a suggestion. It's already too late. Sodom isn't in danger. Sodom is finished. And Lot? Still hesitating, not rebelling, not arguing, just slow, like someone trying to process something that no longer has time to be processed. So the angels don't wait. They grab him. His wife, his daughters, pulled out of the city like people who missed every earlier warning. This isn't a calm exit. This is forced removal, which already tells you everything. This isn't a heroic escape story. This is last-minute damage control. Behind them, the city starts collapsing into fire and ash. Noise turns into silence. Familiar turns into gone. And right there, in the middle of urgency, comes one simple rule. Don't look back. That's it. No explanation, no second instruction. Just keep moving, because whatever is behind you is no longer yours, which sounds easy, until you realize what they're actually leaving. Not just buildings, routine, identity, memory, everything that used to feel normal, and leaving something physically, fast, letting go of it, not even close. They start walking, forward, out of the city, away from the fire, and from the outside, it looks like a success. They made it out, they survived, story over. Except, it's not. Because survival in this case has a condition, and it's not speed, it's detachment. Lot keeps moving, his daughters follow, his wife slows down. Not enough to stop everything, but enough to feel different. Because there's a difference between someone escaping and someone being pulled away from something they're not ready to lose. Behind them, the sky shifts, color changes, air thickens. Everything around them is saying, don't turn around, which, ironically, makes it harder not to. Because the more final something feels, the more people want one last look, one last confirmation, one last connection to what used to be theirs. The group keeps moving, no one talking, but the silence isn't calm, it's heavy, because everyone knows what they just left, and no one knows what comes next. And right there, between past and future, is where the real tension sits. Not in the fire, not in the destruction, but in the part no one says they left, but they didn't detach. And that's the problem, because distance removes you from danger. Attachment pulls you back into it, and when those two don't match, you don't need time to fail. You need a second, just one. They escaped, but nothing actually left. That's the part no one says, because physically, they're out of the city, out of the fire, out of the danger. But mentally, still there, still replaying it, still attached to something that doesn't exist anymore. The road ahead is empty, quiet, too quiet, which should feel safe. It doesn't. Because silence doesn't calm people down. It gives them space to think. And thinking? That's where things start to crack. Lot doesn't slow down, not even slightly. He moves like someone who understands one thing clearly. Forward is the only option left. No plan, no backup, no return, just forward. His daughters follow. No questions, no hesitation. They're not processing, they're reacting, which in this situation is actually safer. But his wife isn't doing that. She slows, again, not enough to stop everything, but enough to break rhythm, enough to create a gap, and gaps are where mistakes happen. Because there's a difference between someone escaping and someone still connected, and she's still connected, not physically, mentally, emotionally. She didn't leave Sodom, she brought it with her. Behind them, the sky burns, not loudly, not violently, just enough to remind them it's gone. And that's the problem. Because the more final something feels, the harder it is to release it. People don't struggle to leave what's broken. They struggle to accept it's over. Lot doesn't turn. He doesn't speak. He doesn't slow down. Which isn't cold, it's survival. Because saying something would mean acknowledging what they're all avoiding. And right now, acknowledging it would slow them down. So he keeps moving, step after step. Like distance alone will fix everything. It won't. Because distance removes you from the situation, not from the attachment. And attachment doesn't care about distance. It stays active, quiet, persistent, like deleting something you know was bad for you, and then searching for it again, without thinking. Not because you need it, because part of you isn't done with it. That's where they are, not in danger, but not free, suspended, between what was and what comes next. And that space? Unstable, because no one talks, no one processes, no one closes anything. They just keep moving, hoping time will solve it. It won't, because unresolved attachment doesn't fade. It builds, silently, pressure without sound, tension without warning, until something small becomes impossible to ignore. And that's the moment that matters, not the fire, not the destruction. That already happened. The real risk now is hesitation, because hesitation doesn't look dangerous. It looks human. It looks like slowing down, like remembering, like one last thought. And that's exactly why it works, because it doesn't stop you immediately. It just creates one opening, 1 second where the rule becomes optional. And that's it. That's where everything breaks. No warning, no build-up, just 1 second. That's all it takes. They're still moving, same pace, same silence, same tension no one names. Lot ahead, daughters behind, and her slightly off, not far, just enough. Enough to create a gap, and gaps are where things break. Because at this point the danger isn't the fire. That already did its job. What's left now is a moment. Small, quiet, almost invisible. The kind people underestimate. Behind them, Sodom is gone, not fading, gone. Fire still rising, smoke still twisting. But whatever mattered, already finished. Which should make letting go easier. It doesn't, because endings don't close things. They amplify them. They make people want confirmation. One last check, one last look. Like refreshing a page you already know is broken. It won't fix anything. Still, people do it. And that's the shift, not outside, inside. Because up to now, everything has been automatic. Move forward, don't stop, don't think, just react. But now, there's a decision. Tiny, barely visible. Keep walking, or look. And looking doesn't feel dangerous. That's the trap. It feels normal, reasonable, like something anyone would do. Because people check things, they confirm things, they revisit things, especially when they lose them fast. And she lost everything fast. No warning, no goodbye, no time, just removal. So her body keeps moving, but her attention doesn't. It drifts back, and in that split second, everything disconnects. Not dramatically, not loudly, just enough. Because it doesn't take a full stop to break momentum. It takes hesitation, and hesitation changes direction. She turns, not fully, not dramatically, just enough. And that's it. No sound, no reaction. No time to fix it. 1 second and everything locks, permanently. Where there was movement, there's now stillness. Where there was a person, there's now a marker, a line in the path. A reminder no one asked for. Lot doesn't see it happen. He keeps walking. Because forward has been the only rule, the only focus, the only way out. Until something feels off. The silence shifts. Not louder, just wrong. The kind of silence that doesn't belong. And eventually, he notices. Not by looking back, but by absence. One less set of steps, one less presence, and that's when it lands, fast, cold, final. Because he already knows, without checking, without confirming, without turning, which is exactly the point. Because the rule was simple. Don't look back. No exceptions. No just once. And now, someone did. And there's no version of that that ends differently. Behind him. Nothing left. Beside him. A consequence. Ahead. Still unknown. And right there, the story shifts. Because this was never about speed. It was never about escape. It was about one instruction. One moment. One decision. And how fast everything ends when that line gets crossed. The fire stopped, But the real damage kept moving. Lot doesn't look back. Not because he's strong, because now he understands the cost. So he keeps walking. Same direction, same pace. But something's different. Subtle, not visible, but there. One less set of footsteps. No announcement, no reaction. Just absence. And no one says it. Because no one needs to. He doesn't slow down because slowing down would mean thinking, and thinking would mean facing it. So he avoids it, step after step, forward. Like movement alone can outrun what just happened. It can't, because the fire is over. But this part just started. The road ahead is quiet, still, empty. Before, that silence meant tension. Now, it means weight, the kind that doesn't speak, just sits there, heavy, constant. Lot keeps moving. But not the same way. Something shifted, not in direction, in pressure. Like he's carrying more than he was a moment ago. His daughters move closer, not consciously, instinct, because something changed, and everyone feels it, even without words. Behind them, nothing left. No city, no past, no version of before. Beside them, a reminder, permanent, unavoidable, and ahead, unknown, which should feel like relief. It doesn't, because survival doesn't erase anything. It just confirms what's gone. Everything they had, gone. Everything familiar, gone. And now they're here, alive, but heavier. Not from fear, that part is over, from consequence, and consequence moves slower than fire. Fire ends fast, this doesn't. It stays, quiet, persistent, like smoke that doesn't leave your clothes. You don't see it, but it's there, everywhere. They reach Zoar, safe, technically. No fire, no destruction, no immediate threat. By definition, they made it. But it doesn't feel like winning. Because nothing about this feels finished. Lot doesn't talk about it, doesn't explain it, doesn't stop. Because stopping would force a question. What did it cost? And that's not a question he wants answered. So he keeps moving, forward. Because forward is still the only option. But now, forward feels different. Not like escape, like aftermath. And that's the shift. Because the story didn't end when they got out. It changed. From surviving something outside to carrying something inside. And that doesn't go away. It doesn't fade. It doesn't fix itself with time. It waits, quiet, building, until it turns into something else. Something slower, something heavier, something you don't notice, until it starts making decisions for you. And by then, it's already too late. Lot survived. And that's exactly why it hurt. Because survival, in this story, was never the solution. It was the exposure. They made it out. That part is clear. Fire behind them, ground still beneath them, alive. Technically, which should feel like a win. It doesn't, because nothing about this feels finished. Nothing feels closed. Nothing feels resolved. And that's the detail most people miss, because the story usually ends at survival. Here, that's where it starts. They left fast, too fast. No goodbye, no processing, no detachment. Just exit. And when exit is faster than understanding, something stays open, unresolved, active, and active things don't stay quiet. Lot kept moving, forward, because forward was the only direction left. But forward didn't fix anything, it just carried everything with him. Because distance removes you from the place, not from what it did to you. And what it did stayed, quiet, persistent, unfinished, not visible, but present, like something waiting, because that's what unresolved things do. They wait until they turn into something else, something slower, something heavier, something that starts making decisions for you before you realize it. And that's where the story lands, not in the fire, not in the escape, but in what followed, because this was never about outrunning destruction. It was about letting go of it, and that's the part that failed. Lot left the city, but the city didn't leave him. And that's the line most people skip, because survival looks clean from the outside, clear, simple, final. But from the inside, it's heavier, messier, ongoing, because survival doesn't cancel loss. It confirms it. And confirmation is what makes it permanent. There's no going back, no undo, no second version, just forward, with whatever is left, and whatever is left isn't neutral. It shapes what comes next, quietly, without asking, without warning, until one day, it shows up in a decision, a reaction, a moment that doesn't seem important until it is. And that's how it works. Not loud, not dramatic, just consistent. Because people don't fail in the fire. They fail after it. When everything looks stable, when everything slows down, when one small choice pun feels harmless, and that's when it happens again. Because the real danger was never the fire. It was the attachment. And attachment doesn't burn, it stays. And if you don't release it, it doesn't just follow you, it leads you.